I'm also still the product owner, which I also think is very important as a CEO. You have to be the product owner. It's very, very important.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Founder Fridays, where we sit down with builders who've been in the trenches to talk shop, product, design, and the lessons no one puts on a slide deck. I'm Ghalia Alami, and I lead our startup program in Europe. Today, I'm sitting down with Mohamed Chahin, CEO and founder of Twain, a deep research platform that helps sales team generate personalized outreach at scale. Mohamed is based in Berlin. Twain is his second venture after successfully exiting Eat Clever in 2022. And now, him and his team at Twain have raised over $8 million, including a pre-seed round led by Sequoia Capital. I'm very excited to dive in. Thank you for joining us, Mohamed. Can I call you Mo from now on?
Yes, of course. Thank you. And thanks for the invitation. Very excited for this.
The first question I want to ask you is around the problem you saw in sales outreach that made you think, oh, I want to build this?
Probably it started way earlier than I realized. I did grow up in Germany. My family refuged from Lebanon to Germany. I grew up with 3 different languages, Arabic, German, and English. I didn't realize it back then, but I had a very hard time learning any language perfectly well. And it actually made me very sensitive to communication between humans, and then especially between very different and diverse cultures. And when we were building Eat Clever, I was responsible for expanding the business. We got very lucky with timing. It's a virtual restaurant concept for healthy food brands. And I expanded it across Europe. And I had to learn how to communicate a very unique and novel concept to very different cultures. And I just realized how difficult it was when you get rejected, which people working in sales get a lot. And then on top of that, having a product that might be like pre-product market fit, you get extra rejection. So that's really where I realized that, wow, so many people, it's so difficult to convey an idea in a very short amount of time.
And do you think that there's a core belief about sales or AI that you're trying to change in building Twain?
That's such an important question. So I think my core belief is that being really good at communicating is a skill that probably everyone would love to learn, because we all hate the feeling of being rejected, and we all love, the feeling of, getting a positive response in our personal life or in our professional life. So that's basically the core of Twain. Everything around that, for example, using AI for your professional outreach, specifically in sales, is just the technology that we are building on top of, so people don't have to go through thousands of rejections to get to that point. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. AI is moving very, very fast, and we have to adjust very fast as well.
And so for now, if we focus on the ICP of founders who are trying to do outreach to acquire leads or customers, what are the best practices you're seeing work today that you can share with them?
So especially when we're talking about early stage founders, and that's where, right, like we were as well 2-3 years ago, we would basically do a lot of outreach just to learn. I think you have to start with basically a hypothesis around a problem. And then you have to make an assumption. You can't know for sure. You just have to make an assumption on who that has that problem. And then it's just, for example, writing a few LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a really good place. Writing a few LinkedIn templates. Just take that and send it to, let's say, the 3 ICP where you assume they might have the problem. Whoever shows interest, you'll just talk to them. And if you find repeatable problems, that's when it sounds like you're onto something. The first thing is that I think will help you as a founder is put yourself into like their shoes when they read a message from an absolute no-name brand. And no one is just like waiting for strangers to message them. Like no one is excited about seeing the next email or LinkedIn DM from a stranger, right? Like we might be excited to hear from our loved ones, our close friends, but like not from a stranger. So that's like firstly the state of mind that you have to put in yourself into. So it's not only important that you convey the value, so how exactly is your like what your idea is going to solve, but also that you always remember, like by default, what they don't know about you, like what's their like wall of defense, like what there probably be like a surface level objection. And I'll just give you an example for like Twain. I try to generate personalized emails with AI and they sucked, right? So like AI can't write great. So it's like, so we always take that into consideration in our communication to just preemptively talk about that, right? So for any like new startup, like ask yourself, was there someone before you that basically maybe burned your market? Is there, what's like another like objection that they might have? Just put one sentence in, like why or how are you different?
I was reading that you were shipping very cool features, like a Chrome extension for easily finding sentence variations. I want to know what's your favorite feature that you've built recently or since you began.
The feature I love most is actually our qualification agent. So after we generate everything and after we do research, we actually also qualify all the data and even the messages that Twain generates. So what we did is that we said, okay, we already pulling in all that data. Let's reuse that data for free to the user. It's entirely free to qualify if they should actually reach out to that person or not, or if the message even sounds good. Like it's crazy. Like we even check if we like generated something that sounds good or not, and if not, we just regenerate it for the user.
So we talked about your origin story. Let's start with the raise, the Sequoia raise in your pre-seed round.
I don't remember exactly how it happened, to be honest. I just remember that probably multiple people forwarded like a some kind of article or a newsletter or something to me where Sequoia announced that they are going back into pre-seed investing. And one of our angel investors from like day one is the founder and CEO of N8N. And he had raised a Series A from Sequoia. And then I think he like probably maybe introduced us or something. I don't remember. I met their team. We talked. I told them like what I have done before, right? Like why am I building this and why I think this is a good time to build this. That was like very, very important. Why are you the right person to build this company or solve this problem? And why is now the right time? I think we got along really well. And I, at that point, don't think I realized how much is going to change my life. They just raise your bar on everything. Like from the moment you start working with them, the people I've worked with, I obviously haven't met everyone, but like, well, sit down with them. It's like very obvious that like this is the goal is to be a global leader. How do we get there? And like, we're going to build this for the next decades, not like 3-5 years.
That's amazing to hear. And so, is there a specific advice um, or a word you want to give to founders who are trying to raise today?
The advice is just that, be yourself. Like, there's no way, like, it will never, you can never like play a role or something, right? Just be yourself, just be authentic. And um, it, if you get rejected from a top, not Sequoia or any other, like, let's say top tier firm, it just doesn't mean anything. It just means that it's not something they want to invest in or not want to invest in today. They're just looking for a specific profile. But generally speaking, absolute game changer. Like the earlier you can partner, I would say, if you want to go down that road. Very, very important. It's not for like everyone, right?
I read that you grew over 1,000% between June and September 2025. That's insane. What drove that? And more generally, today, what is driving Twain's growth?
Well, it's the product for sure. I mean, we are still very early stage, so it was like impressive, and it's obviously impressive to us as well. I mean, I've built a company before, and that's almost like a unfair bias where you just always know that you're going to get to these stages, or like to this growth or whatever. It's still very early, but what drove it is really that we built this deep research. Like there's no, I can't really tell you any secret, to be honest. It's just the product, and it's today we got to a stage now where it's like, okay, we have to improve the usability. Like we found our ICP, that we talked about a bit earlier. Like we know what problem we want to solve. We're not gonna like pivot. We know like exactly, who we are looking for, like what the tech stack is that they're using, right? Like all these things. Now it's really about like usability. And I think that's something I underestimated. That was definitely like, let's say, my mistake. Like usability, for example, especially when you have like working with scale ups, companies that have like a few hundred employees at least, like you have to like make it convenient, let's say, or as convenient as possible, not to change their processes too much and stuff like that. Um, yeah, so like that's today what we are focused on, and we can already see that, for example, the more like native integrations we build, that already has an impact.
So you do have part of the 9 people you were mentioning earlier, you do have salespeople at the moment.
Yeah, that's me. Like I am,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's actually an advice I had heard from YC that the first salesperson has to be the founder.
Yes, I 100% agree. And I do think with tools like, Notion, teams will get smaller and smaller. I think that's obvious by now. And, we can push this way, way further. We do have a customer success lead that recently joined us. Um, but yeah, in terms of like, getting like meeting people, demos, and like top of funnel, I'm the only salesperson, and yeah, I use Twain myself. Like I built
You have
campaigns with
Twain,
them.
that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a good agent supporting you. Good segue. You were mentioning tools such as Notion. That's the part I wanted to go to. How do you use Notion internally? Um, Tell us about your favorite workflows that maybe other founders could steal
Mhm.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, of course, it changes a little bit with where the company is. So, like initially, I used Notion a bit differently. I use it a lot to share resources with prospects, to share resources with community. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, right? Like when we post something, or like I have some cool templates to share. I use Notion for that, and then the other thing is that's like, let's say, in terms of time spent, I spend most time. I'm also still the product owner, which I also think is very important as a CEO. You have to be the product owner. Like it's very, very important. It's not a democracy, I would say, because it's just very rough early stage, and you can't ask 10 people for their opinion. It just doesn't work. So like you need to create clarity, and to create clarity, I use Notion to build. Okay, like we don't create for products and features, we don't create like to-do lists or something. We create priority lists. So in Notion, I describe features. I use like screenshots, of course, and videos, and I build everything into these features. And then basically every single feature obviously gets like their own page, but as a parent basically page, we create batches. So we create batches of priority. So like the engineering team, the data science team, like everyone can like look into what's the number, like what's batch one. That's the most important thing. Only if it's like completed, we look at batch two, and then batch three, and after batch three is just parking lot. But yeah, that's like, let's say, in time spent. And I think it works really well because you don't have to like overcomplicate at an early stage what people should work on, or like OKRs or something like that. You just need to show people that's the most important thing. That's what we're going to work on, and here's why. And then this comes next, basically.
Cool. So you work with priorities and you're using for your product building. and you're using a Notion database to reflect that, which creates clarity within the team. That's something we can evidently steal as the founders building products. So we're almost at the end. We're going to wrap up with our advice block
Mhm.
to other founders. I have a few questions there. I mentioned when we started that Twain is your second company
Mhm.
after your first venture, Eat Clever, was acquired. How is building Twain different from your first time around? And what did that experience teach you that you're applying now? It could be just one thing that you're like, whoa, this time I'm doing it differently.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing that might be different is that I'm a solo founder now, and I had two amazing co-founders with my previous company.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I can guarantee I would have never made it through these first 4 years without that experience. And what it taught me, I would say, building that business first or the first venture is um, it maybe it's like an unjustified bias to knowing that I'll figure it out. Like whatever anyone says, that's not a good idea or that's crazy or that's not going to work, or if you've built something before that first people thought you were crazy and then it worked, right? And then you sell it and it was a success, then like you just don't listen to anyone. Like you just know, that's exactly the story that's going to happen. So that's the biggest thing. And then like what I learned the most is just great things take time and grit, and just like just staying with things and being focused is the most important thing to success, because if you don't give up, right, the company is not going to fail. You just have to stick with things and figure things out and be patient. So yeah, that would be like my biggest learning from building a company, like a first company, and yeah, applying that to Twain.
Yeah. Actually, it's interesting that we didn't touch upon that. You're a solo founder now on Twain. Um, and still you're doing it. Of course, there are other solo founders that had immense success. How are you finding it? Comparing the two experiences, maybe are there advantages to being a solo founders? Because we always talk about the disadvantages.
Mhm. Yeah, the biggest advantage is speed. Like you can make decisions way faster. Of course, it's only good if you're right. So you should overall be right. But
Yeah,
it's big. Like the how fast you can make decisions is the biggest advantage for sure. How am I finding it? I love like how fast we are moving and that we're just moving faster. But if I could decide to have like a great co-founder, I would always prefer that over being a solo founder, because it's freaking brutal and lonely. So I
yeah,
cannot
yeah.
recommend it.
The last question, I know you shared a lot of lessons already, which were really interesting. Is there one last lesson you'd want to pass on to other founders before we go?
Yeah, just trust in yourself. I think that's like the most important thing, because if you don't trust like in yourself like 100%, and sometimes it's difficult and that's fine, but overall you have to trust in yourself, because if you don't, you cannot expect that anyone else will trust you. So you cannot expect anything from anyone else if you don't like do it yourself. So yeah, that's the most important thing, no matter what happens.
Well, thank you, Mo. I feel so energized after this call. You really have a great founder mentality, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ghalia.